Hey Capricorn, and welcome to your monthly tarot reading. So this is for August 2023 for Capricorn Sun or Rising signs. I'm feeling this card here. Of the cards of the tarot videos that I put out, this video is the more extended version. So we really go through the month and see how it unfolds, challenges, spiritual advice. Funny enough, the full moon, I usually do also bi-weekly videos. Those are smaller, about 5-6 minutes long on average. And those are also coming out on the 1st. So lots of content to consume if you like. That goes from full moon to new moon. And because we have the full moon in Aquarius on the 1st, that will take you up till the new moon. So if you want to check that out, that will also be out. One other thing that I will say is that the astrological highlights video for the first half of August is also out. So that comes with timestamps, so you can just kind of like come back and visit it throughout the first half of the month, or skip ahead to whichever dates you want. So that video is out. I'll have that linked at the end of the video and down in the description so that you can check that out at your leisure. So now that I've got all of that out of the way, it just kind of like ended up turning out that all of these videos ended up culminating like at the same time. Like the full moon just decided to change and move into the first of the month. So that's how it is. It does shift. So, all right. And Six of Coins has been coming up for, I think 3 signs. I know 3 for sure, but maybe possibly 4. I know it just came up for Sag. So, all right. Well, I like the ace in there. Like that. So that's how the month is going to be progressing. And I know that that is not, these cards are not the typical Rider-Waite traditional kinds of cards. So, but I love them. I love these cards. Anybody who knows me knows I love like anime style, manga style cards. It's a thing. All right. And what kind of spiritual advice do we have that's also coming through? Okay, cool. All right, Capricorn. So let's get into it. It just got so quiet. Like during the Sagittarius one, there's just like thunder and there's lightning outside and the wind was blowing and like suddenly it's calm. It feels almost too quiet. So, all right, Capricorn, what area of life is being brought into focus? And so we have the 8th house. The 8th house is about, I would say it has to do with, yes, other people's resources is one way to interpret it, but it also has to do with your investments. So generally they're financial investments. This house can also have to do with the hidden knowledges, the occult, and also like can have to do with grief or loss, right? So not to scare anyone, just because it might have topics around grief or loss or in some way, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to lose someone, right? So I just have to say that for anyone who's kind of new to tarot, so that people don't freak out when they see things like, this type of card. So, so that's the area of life that we have to do, that we're dealing with, right? So if there are things that you are investing in, like this could be anything from like property to being like an angel investor in a project, or like even Bitcoin type stuff, or like any of the coins, so like any kind of crypto stuff, like things like that, right? So where you're invested financially could have to do with other people's resources, which is why sometimes inheritance can come up. But in another way, it can have to do with partnerships, like business partnerships, for instance, is a really good example of how like your money is tied in with another, right? So you can think of all of the examples of where your money could be tied in with another person, and that kind of connection. So these are the things that are up. Now, if while I'm reading this, because it's a collective reading, I like to try and focus the reading a bit more. But if while I'm reading this, you're like, I'm really feeling like this is related to my family, or this is related to a relationship or something like that, then filter it through for that. Let's keep in mind this is a collective reading. And so if it lands for you, awesome, it's your message. If it doesn't, it wasn't this month. So maybe if this is your sun sign, go check out your rising sign, and because it's still collective, I would say the only way to guarantee you're going to get specificity and is a one-to-one reading. So by the way, I am taking bookings for that. The information is down below, and I do 30, 60, and 90-minute readings. So let's get into your reading. So we're starting out the month with the King of Cups. I like it. 6 of Coins. Like I said, I think it's interesting because that's coming up for more people, it seems like, which I'm not totally surprised by, and we'll get into that. I'll say why. And also the Ace of Swords. So this is the progression of the month and how things look. So I like that you're getting some clarity, it looks like, towards the end of the month. And given what we've got going on astrologically, I'd say, yay you. So let's start with the King of Cups. So all of the kings are representative of leadership and responsibility. Personal responsibility as well as just responsibilities in general, right? So, but it's the way in which they are dealing with stepping into those leadership and responsibility roles. And this could be over your life specifically, or over topics that we were just talking about that have to do with the 8th house, right? So keep that in mind as we go through and I'm talking about this. Now, the King of Cups is someone who is pretty steady about being able to feel the range of emotions without allowing it to disrupt his ability to build his kingdom, to manage his kingdom, right? And so there might be various emotions that you might be experiencing going through this Venus retrograde. Venus is going to be retrograde all of this month. So that's something, you might have had certain Venus topics really coming up for review, and perhaps that's bringing a lot of feelings to the surface, right? If you're reevaluating your connections with other people, romantic or otherwise, but also your values, your value system, just kind of checking to see if those are still accurate and aligned for you, or whether you have new values that you're adding, or some that are not so valuable anymore that you're taking off the table for yourself. Those are things that could be bringing up some emotions, because that could change the nature of certain friendships that you have, or dealing with family or things like that, right? So those are just examples, but essentially this is asking you to step into a place where the King of Cups doesn't suppress his feelings, right? He feels his feelings. He acknowledges his feelings. He can be with his feelings and still be able to maintain his ability to step into leadership and responsibility and to handle what's asked of him to be able to build and run his kingdom, essentially. So I hope that makes sense. We come into the middle of the month and we have the 6 of Coins, right? 6 of Coins definitely asks you about where there is reciprocity in the give and take between yourself and others, or yourself and another. Now, given the fact that we're looking at the 8th house and we're looking at investments, other people's finances, right? Other people's resources. It doesn't have to just be finances, but that type of thing. That's one of the aspects of the 8th house that we were just talking about, right? So this could have to do definitely very financial, right? The coins are from the earth suit, that can have to do with finances, but it also can have to do with the way that we spend our time, energy, and attention, right? So if, for instance, this has to do with maybe an investment, you and somebody else have your either your finances involved in this investment or this project or this thing, right? Or it's your maybe not finances, but time, energy, and attention for both people that are focused on creating this, or a team of people, right? Because of the leadership role thing, right? So if that's the case, then this is about evaluating whether there is a balanced amount of give and take. Now, obviously, it's hard to say when something is exactly reciprocated on the same level, right? So it's more about is there enough balance and movement between yourself and another, or yourself and others, that feels like it's in alignment, right? So are you on the side of possibly taking and taking and taking, and receiving and getting assistance, or in financially, or help with somebody's time, or whatever it is, and not really taking the time to give of yourself, as well as to offer some kind of trade up for that energy exchange, right? Or are you possibly on the side where you're overextending yourself and you're just like kind of bending over backwards and you're just like giving of your time, giving of your energy and attention and money even possibly, and just like over giving and not really seeing people like step up and also step into that role of reciprocation on their end and devoting some of their energies into, let's say, a project or an investment, right? So that's something to be evaluated. I think it's very appropriate for the themes that we have going on. Like I said, Venus is retrograde all throughout this month. Towards the end of the month, we're going to have Mercury being retrograde along with it. So, you know, Mercury topics are going to be up for review as well, right? You know, not just communication and things that are like of the written word, but this can also have to do with commerce, right? So we see like kind of a theme that's showing up here. So, but it looks like through the process of, you know, maybe navigating and feeling into like what's actually there to feel into and integrating that with stepping into this level of leadership and responsibility, renegotiating if need be the give and take between you and your like maybe investment partner, business partner, team, whatever it is, and then like coming into this place at the end of the month where it's like you start to get some clarity, right? Just because planets are retrograde doesn't mean you don't get clarity. Like this is like the point of things slowing down in these ways is so that we can slow down enough to be able to review and to look at things plainly and to see like what's working, what isn't working, what's in alignment, what isn't. And so it looks like at the end of the month here, you're stepping into getting some clarity with that, with the Ace of Swords, right? And I really like this for you. So I really can't say much more about this. It's pretty straightforward and simple, like Ace of Swords, that's some clarity. So the challenge that we see that is coming up as like an undercurrent through maybe all of the month or certain parts of the month is the Four of Cups. You know, Four of Cups, it's interesting. Four of Cups is, there are a couple of things that come up for me that I'm going to mention. Like I said, it's a collective reading, so I like to try to give whichever kind of intuitive hits I'm getting because I'm figuring it's going to hit differently for at least a couple different people. Four of Cups is like not being open to or just straight up not seeing certain kinds of opportunities or like assistance that is coming through from, let's say, whatever you believe in, guides, angels, the universe, whatever you want to call it, right? Beings. This is usually what we see in the traditional depiction of this card. We see a hand that's coming out from the ethers and is like with a chalice. And there's just kind of like this, hey, I'm offering you this other like opportunity, this other gift, and just that either it doesn't look the way that you want it to, and so therefore you're like, nah, but it actually would be helpful for you in what your endeavors are. And so, or it could be that you need to like really widen your perspective, like really open your gaze so that you're able to, like, it's just not in your periphery and so you're just not seeing it unintentionally, but you're just like not seeing it, right? So this would be like open yourself up, like open your eyes, widen your gaze, and see like where there are people maybe perhaps in your life, opportunities in your life where they maybe have something to contribute or have something that could be of assistance with maybe something that is a certain stage of what you're developing in an investment or a project or something like that, right? So you want to be able to look at that. The other side of this and I don't feel like this is going to be a lot of people, but it did come through, so I am going to mention it, is being in a place of complacency, like kind of being a little bit bored like with what you're up to. Not that you're bored with the project per se, but just like, you know, maybe you're dealing with certain aspects of it that just feel like tedious and boring, and so you're just feeling like you're dragging your feet, or straight up complacency, laziness a little bit, which is why I say, like, for a Capricorn, maybe not so typical, depends on what your other placements are, right? Like, but this could come up for a few of you where you're just like, yeah, like, I know certain things need to be done for these projects, but those feel like way more like monumental, and so I'm going to focus on building out this other area that has nothing to do with this particular stage of the project. Like, I'm going to spend hours and hours working on something that really doesn't make sense to work on now. It would make sense to work on like in months from now, right? So things like that. That's more what I mean. So I don't feel like that last part is for a lot of you. Like I said, I think it's more the first that I was talking about. And then the spiritual advice that's coming through for you is just about patience, right? Like Seven of Coins, we're taking a look at just like having, like you've been like I like to use like a gardening metaphor with this. It's like, okay, you've been tending to the soil, you have been like tilling it and pulling weeds and making sure that it has the nutrients, you have been watering it, pruning things, like doing all the things, and maybe you're starting to see like some flowers come through, but it's not harvest time. Like it's going to require still more work, more time, more patience, more investment, whether that's financial or again time, energy, attention, right? So that's what's coming through. It's just like time, and you know that makes a lot of sense given like what's happening with like with Saturn and then with the retrogrades, and like this makes sense, right? So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it was insightful in some way. If it was, please consider giving the video a like. It does help me as I am building this channel and helps me get to like in front of more eyes. And while you're at it, why not subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already, so that way you don't miss any of the videos that come out. If it's not already up on the screen, the astrological highlights with the timestamps will be up on the screen, so you can just click over there. And also, like I said, if you want to check out how to best take advantage of and utilize the full moon to new moon phase, approximate 2-week phase, then those videos will also be up. So, all right, thanks for your time. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.